Hello, welcome to Panorama. Today is very significant because the world marks Audiovisual Heritage Day, a global celebration of the importance of preserving our audiovisual legacy. Now, to shed light on Nigeria's role in this endeavor and what significance audiovisual heritage holds for our nation, we'll be having the Executive Director of the National Film and Videos Censorship Board, Dr. Shuaibu Hussaini. He'll be talking more very shortly. In the meantime, thank you for joining us. I'm Ruth Aguilera. The sixth Governor Committee set up by President Bola Tinubu to assess the conditions of the nation's security training institutions across the country says it is already set to hit the ground running immediately to achieve the task within the time frame given at this month's meeting of the National Economic Council. A member of the committee, Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, who is a guest on one of NTA's weekly program that showcases activities around the presidency called Executive Recap, says the committee led by Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State values the importance and urgency attached to the assignment towards enhancing the welfare and condition of service of the Nigeria Police Force.
It is just to identify what is required from this institution. A lot of them are dilapidated. If you look at the one in Ikeja, for instance, you can see the standard of that. Is it up to the standard of what a training institution, that will train the kind of officers that we are looking for will be? So I think the first thing is for us to know what does it take to be, a standard quality training institute. And then now to look at what we have now, and now to recommend what it will take, to do that. I think it's a very simple, straightforward, and I'm happy that the secretary of the committee is actually the immediate past IG.
Governor Abdullahi Sule also comments on the recent changes President Tinubu made to the leadership of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
If you look at most of the other officers who have been there, the chief of air staff, the chief of naval staff, and the rest of that, they are all people also who are hands-on. So I think, I don't see anything wrong with it. And I don't see anything wrong with the other officers. General Musa has done well. He did his best. We always commended him. He has attended our meetings of the Nigerian Governors Forum twice. We interacted. He shared with us. I attended another meeting, of the Northern Institute with him, twice. And so I think all of them seem to be people who have contributed, and it's time to move on. You cannot continue to keep certain people in one position for too long. That's the way I see it.
For more on that interview, stay tuned to the network service of the NTA as Executive Recap airs tonight at 10:30. The transmission company of Nigeria says its tower along the Gombe-Damaturu line has been vandalized, resulting in partial disruption of the bulk supply to Maiduguri, Borno and Damaturu, Yobe and its environs. TCN, however, shows that the bulk supply is being maintained through the Maiduguri Emergency Power Plant, which currently feeds the Yola Electricity Distribution Company. For onward distribution to consumers, the supply will be through major 33 kV feeders, including Beneshik, Damasak, Bama University Campus, Maiduguri Town, Monguno, and others. Also, Damaturu and its environs will be supplied from the Potiskum substation for the time being. TCN says its team of engineers has already been mobilized to site, working to replace the damaged tower and restore normal transmission. TCN appeals to the public to protect national assets and report any suspicious activities to the security agencies or the nearest TCN office. In other news, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, charges investors to increase their investment stakes in Nigeria's solid minerals sector, following positive reforms that promises higher returns. At this year's China Mining Conference in Tianjin, Alake impressed his host with security reforms, including mining marshals and the satellite mines monitoring project, which were introduced to protect licensed miners and curtail illegal mining. He cited upgrades in technology to ease business and processing applications to improve remote transactions globally in Nigeria's mining sector. Reviewing the Chinese mining business, Alake acknowledged that investments in lithium processing alone grossed $1.3 billion since September 2023, adding that memoranda of understanding signed by President Bola Tinubu during the state visit in September 2024 had led to substantial investment commitments. Alake, who reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to strengthening continental cooperation in mineral exploration and reporting standards, reiterated plans to strengthen regional centers of excellence in geosciences and mining skills, expand the role of Solid Minerals Development Fund and the SMDF-AFC facility in supporting early-stage exploration and de-risking investments. So, we told you today is marked globally as World Audiovisual Heritage Day, a day set aside to appreciate the vast treasure of moving images and sound recordings that documents our cultures, communities and histories. Adopted in 1980 at the 21st General Conference, the day raises awareness for the recommendation to safeguarding and preservation of moving images, providing the need to raise general awareness, take urgent measures, and to acknowledge the importance of audiovisual documents, which are part of our priceless heritage. And to speak on that, we have the Executive Director of the National Film and Videos Censorship Board, Dr. Shuaibu Hussaini. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Hussaini.
It's a pleasure to be in the live studios of NTA.
And how does it feel coming back to your home?
Well, I mean, it's always a pleasure to be at NTA. I mean, I caught my acting teeth, so to speak, on NTA as a child actor with Tales by the Moonlight, moved to presenting programs like Children's Variety, Youth Panorama on NTA, Macaulay, and all that. So it's good to be home, always good to be home. Fantastic. And since you've been part of stories talking about this audiovisual heritage, what would you say Nigeria is doing as the DG, censorship board to preserve this audiovisual heritage? I know there are challenges, but let's start with what the nation is doing to preserve them. Oh, well, of course, you have set the background by letting us know that it's a day that's set aside by UNESCO to draw, to raise awareness about the need for us to preserve our audiovisual heritage, which comes in forms of films, sound recordings, and television programs, even radio programs as well. And in terms of the importance that this government has given to it, I mean, it's a priority of the Mr. President. It's even captured in his renewed hope agenda. It's also a priority for the Minister of Arts, Culture, because it's captured in our 8-point agenda, preservation of our cultural heritage, and audiovisual heritage is part of that. And because of the kind of priority they placed on preservation of our cultural heritage, we have taken steps since we came into office to ensure that we preserve these documents that reflect our social, cultural, and linguistic diversity. And at the level of the National Film and Video Censors Board, we have a lot of these films that we need to preserve for generations to come. I mean, at the last count, we have over 280,000 films in different formats, in VHS, in CDs, in DVDs, and now, the new form is to have them either in flash drive or in links. And what we have been doing since this administration came in is to see how we can move them in those formats to a format that we can preserve them for posterity. Because what these things do for us is that we hand down. I mean, there are a lot of us who came after 1990s, maybe the 2000s. We were not privy to important programs such as Second Chance on NTA, Magan and Jarichi,
or even saying Kokora Dawn.
Kokora Dawn, even Samanja. you know, Ichoku, you know, but if we don't preserve them, nobody will see them today. I saw it as part of, you know, the intro for this segment, Kokorado and the rest of them.
Okay.
So we need to preserve them for generations. We need to preserve them for people to know that we have this much in terms of our heritage.
And it's good you kept hammering on the point of the need to preserve this heritage. And we know Nigeria is blessed with content, storytelling, fantastic storytelling. So what is the agency doing? You know, what method is the agency using to safeguard this heritage? You talked about archiving them.
Yes.
Yes.
We have started the process. You know, the Nollywood started with the VHS, and VHS is gone out of fashion now. So that means that if you want to see films like Living in Bondage and the rest, you have to see them in formats that, you know, are compatible with the machines that we have presently. So what we are doing at the National Film and Video Censors Board is to put them in that format where you can see them now. Why not discarding the original materials that are there? Those original materials we feature in our libraries for people to see the format they are, but they can also access them in the more digital formats now. Yeah. And the digital format is important because for years to come, you will still find them. And when we continue, you'll find out that we will have other ways of preserving them beyond now. So it's not only about film. I mean, especially this administration, we have done a lot in preserving our artifacts, you know, in the museum, and but this day particularly is for film, is for sound recordings, and of course for film and television programs. So at the level of the National Film and Video Censors Board, it's a priority for us to preserve these materials. I just told you now that we have about 280,000 of them, and we have to preserve them so that even when we are all gone and there are other generations that come after us, they will find these things to still access. You know, it will be useful for research, and it will be also useful for, I mean, handing out our culture, our social life to generations yet unborn.
And even tourism aspect is
and
very
even tourism
important
as well.
So,
we need to document all those things. I mean, we should go back to our festivals, document them properly, and then keep them, preserve them in a manner that, you know, people can come back to it maybe 50 years' time and still find them.
So, Dr. Hussaini, I'd like you to share with us the challenges hindering, you know, the seamless process of archiving this, you know, materials, especially using digital platforms.
Is funding. Funding is the major challenge because you need to get the right machines to do them. I was trying, when I assumed the office, I was trying to source the machine, just a VHS player. I have gone around, I have not found. But we have some in the establishment where we can use, but we need more than that, especially machines that transfer those things from the old forms that they were to a form that they can be accessible. So it's funding. We need space too, you know, because as they produce, you need space to accommodate them. I mean, you can imagine that we have just very few space to keep about 280,000. And that's not the end. They will keep producing because Nigeria, of course, you know, is a culture producing machine. You know, they will keep producing films, and as they keep producing, the numbers will keep adding. So we need space, we need funding to get the right machines, you know, that will be able to help us not only to move these things from the old format to the new format, but also to have them easily accessible. People should be able to access them from different parts of the world without having to come to our offices to do so.
And talking about different parts of the world, very briefly, Dr. Hussaini, is the agency also looking at leveraging investment opportunities, you know, working with partner countries, you know, who are into stuffs like this? I know Cairo has an innovative format, you know, to store some of these archival materials.
Yes, we have some of our films that are not in our collections that we have found in other parts of the world. And what this day does is for us is to identify where these collections are and see how we can retrieve them back to us, you know. So we have some kind of agreement, you know, across the board. We have had people who have asked us about films that have been done here maybe in the 60s, in the 70s, and so on. If we have them, we share, you know, and if they have ours, we also collect. But what is important is that we must have the culture of preserving our film heritage, our sound recording heritage, as well as our television heritage. So if you have, like what we are experiencing now, we're in a digital age where people produce this content and just upload it online, and there is nowhere where we can keep it for you. So that's why we have been harping on the fact that if you produce any film or video work in this country, the law mandates us to keep a register of that work. And why the law mandates us is because we need to have that in our archive so that it can be retrievable for research and even for you, because there is a limit to which you can preserve those works.
Yeah.
You know, so we have the capacity to preserve those works so that maybe in 10 years' time, if you need them, you can always come back to us. I mean, look at Cochrane Dawn and these other programs. If you come back to NTA 20 years' time, you always have access to them.
And talking about Cochrane Dawn, I wouldn't want to let the cat out of the bag, but NTA is cooking something.
Yes, I know.
So
I followed it.
Fantastic. So viewers, stay tuned to the network service of the NTA. Thank you very much, Dr. Shuaibu, for saying we must, preserve this heritage. It is our identity.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we know more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Thank you for staying tuned. In a nation where cancer too often arrives quietly, the Medicaid Cancer Foundation has given it a human face, promoting early detection, strengthening support for patients, and celebrating those who refuse to give up. Juliana Nicholas captured this moment and is here presented.
Abuja's morning air stirs with energy as Walk Away Cancer 2025 comes alive. Survivors, friends and families march side by side, a colorful wave of courage and compassion. From Mona Lisa Park, their steps create a rhythm of strength and unity, a reminder that no one fights alone and every walk begins with hope.
Collectively, we will play our role to ensure that there's no room for cancer in Nigeria.
Every one of us can contribute to making somebody else's life better.
Cancer is not a death sentence, in a sense that if it's detected on time, once you can monitor your body system, once you're not feeling fine with your body, just go and run a test.
The government should look into the cause, because let's assume that I was opportunity to see one or two persons that supported me, but not all the time. The little money I saved, up to now I've not recovered.
Walk Away Cancer is an 11-year-old program that was initiated by Medicaid Cancer Foundation to create awareness and call for better policies for cancer patients. We need to have better health care, a system that will pick all these people up and care for them.
As the walk ends, the finish line becomes a symbol of triumph for those still fighting and for those who have won. Their message, a call for a cancer-free Nigeria and a world where hope never walks alone.
The fight against drug abuse takes a new turn in Kano, we hear, as the Reformatory Center trains 44 local government chairmen on strategies to curb the growing menace and other social challenges. The one-day training aims to strengthen community participation in addressing social vices across the state. Fatima Sanusi Karai reports.
Drug abuse remains one of the major social vices affecting parts of the country, largely due to the involvement of youths in this dangerous act. In response, the Kano Reformatory Center has deemed it necessary to equip the 44 local government chairmen with essential skills to ensure the success of the campaign against drug abuse.
The aim of the Kano Reformative Center is to rehabilitate, prevent, and sensitize the entire Kano state on the dangers and effect of drug abuse.
Kano State Deputy Governor Aminu Abdusalam Gorzo, represented at the event, reaffirmed the state government's commitment to providing all necessary support for the initiative.
Our able governor, Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf, is doing wonderfully well to make sure all the youths across the state are being engaged in various skills programs and empowerment and education particularly.
The workshop also emphasized the importance of collective efforts in tackling social challenges, especially at the grassroots level.
Chairman, Niger State Traditional Council and the Esunupe Yahaya Abubakar has sympathized with the victims of Tuesday's petrol tanker explosion at Essa and Badegi in Kacha local government area of Niger State. The Esunupe, who was in company of the Permanent Secretary, Primary Health Care Development Agency, visited the National Hospital where some of the victims are receiving medical attention. He pledged to deploy sensitization mechanisms across the length and breadth of the state to educate the populace about the dangers of scooping petrol and other substitute items each time there is an accident.
They'll benefit those who are living and have this suffering victims. We grant them quick recovery.
Well, it's quite pathetic and quite unfortunate, but the state government has responded very, very, very rapidly to the situation. So that's why I've been here since yesterday to receive the victims and to make sure that they are all admitted and made comfortable.
The delegation later condoled with families of the deceased and the incident victims in the communities. In other news, Nigeria has accepted to host the maiden meeting of the African bloc of the national committees of the International Press Institute. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, gave the indication during a meeting in Vienna, Austria, with the chairman of the IPI Executive Board, the IPI Executive Director, Scott Griffin, and IPI Executive Board member representing Nigeria and Africa, Rahim Adedoyin. A statement by the Minister's Special Assistant to Media says IPI Board approved the creation of regional blocks of national committees as means of dealing with specific regional interests within the global IPI community. Although no date has been fixed for the meeting, IPI Secretariat in Vienna is to work out all the details. And that concludes Panorama. Thank you for being part of it. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.